That's right. All 8 members of the Crips East Terrace Gangsters, also known as the Skinny Block Crew, sat side by side as they got charges read against. Among the 8 arrested was the gang's 40-year-old ringleader, Alvin Clark. The feds say he led a gang that's been selling.
Denner says the Tri-City Bombers were given guidance from a prison gang, the Texas Syndicate.
It's interesting to note that a prison gang, that was probably one of the first real times a prison gang took a street gang and molded it into what they've become now.
When we explained how the Texas branch of the Aryan Brotherhood formed.
A little bit over 83, something like that, here in the Alston area.
Federal investigators say the group follows a white supremacist belief system.
Texas has long been home to a complex and dynamic gang landscape, shaped by the diverse cultural, social, and economic factors of the state. From Hispanic prison and street gangs like the Texas Chicano Brotherhood and Tango Origin, to white supremacist groups like the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas and Aryan Circle, the gang culture in Texas reflects a unique blend of regional identities and influences. Additionally, homegrown gangs like the Southwest Cholos, Homidos Together, and La Primera have carved their legacies in urban areas, while groups such as Seat Viejo and the Public Outlaw Boys remain active in rural regions. With deep rivalries, alliances, and ties to national and transnational criminal networks, these gangs have left a significant imprint on Texas's communities, prisons, and streets. This collection delves into the origins, operations, and legacies of some of the most notable gangs across Texas, highlighting their histories, rivalries, and the cultural symbols that define them.
Back in the 1980s, a criminal organization was born in the Valley. Gang expert Marianne Denner says it originated in the area of Pharr, San Juan, and Alamo.
The Tri-City Bombers started many years ago, they were a football team, actually. And, of course, there's no money in being a local football team. And, of course, a lot of them went into activities, illegal activities.
Activities we've reported on, like this shooting in broad daylight on a San Juan street, and the murder of 6 people as they left a Donna bar. Denner says the Tri-City Bombers were given guidance from a prison gang, the Texas Syndicate.
It's interesting to note that a prison gang, that was probably one of the first real times a prison gang took a street gang and molded it into what they've become now.
Despite this indictment on various charges, Denner says it will not impact the gang.
It's not making a dent. It's just making openings for somebody else.
Denner says gangs are proactive and ready for any obstacle that comes their way.
The Texas Chicano Brotherhood is a Hispanic prison and street gang primarily based in the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas. Established in the 1990s, the gang emerged as a splinter group after breaking away from another Hispanic gang, the Tri-City Bombers, who have since become their primary rivals. Members are easily recognizable by their use of red as their gang color and their preference for wearing Cincinnati Reds and Minnesota Twins merchandise as a form of identification. They also adopt the 5-pointed star as a symbol and use a distinctive hand sign. It is important to note that this hand sign and symbolism are not connected to the Latin Kings or any People Nation gang. The Texas Chicano Brotherhood is known for its strong ties to Mexican drug cartels, with whom they collaborate closely in various criminal enterprises. Over the years, the gang has solidified its presence in both the prison system and on the streets, becoming a significant force in South Texas. When discussing Hispanic gangs in Texas, names like Tango Blast, Barrio Azteca, and Sureños often come to mind. However, the Norteños, while not the largest group, maintain a presence in specific regions across the state. They are active in areas such as Lubbock, Corpus Christi, and the Rio Grande Valley, with smaller cliques operating in major cities as well. As with most places, their primary rivals are the Sureños, but they also clash with certain Tango Blast factions and other local Hispanic gangs. Despite being less prominent than some of the larger groups, the Norteños remain a notable part of Texas's gang landscape.
They call themselves the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, the ABT, considered one of the most dangerous gangs in the state with roots inside the walls of the Texas prison system.
I think the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas today is arguably the most violent white supremacist prison gang out there.
The ABT modeled itself after a California-based prison gang called the Aryan Brotherhood, who were the subject of this National Geographic documentary. Inmates in Texas asked the Aryan Brotherhood for permission to start a Texas chapter, but the Southern Poverty Law Center says they were denied membership. We don't know why, but it didn't seem to matter. Authorities say the ABT followed the California model.
It is said to be one of the gangs that live by the blood in, blood out code.
And its reach began to extend outside the prison walls as more members served out their sentences. ABT members on parole are required not only to remain loyal to the gang, but also to recruit new members.
The Aryan Brotherhood of Texas is a white supremacist neo-Nazi prison gang that originated within the Texas Department of Corrections in the early 1980s. Despite sharing a name with the California-based Aryan Brotherhood, the ABT has no formal connection to the original gang pattern seen with other Aryan Brotherhood groups outside California. ABT members are highly active both within Texas prisons and on the streets, particularly in rural, majority-white communities and suburban areas. The gang's leadership, known as the Wheel, is composed of 5 ABT generals, a structure reflected in their use of a 5-pointed crown or the numbers 1-2 to represent a B. On the streets, ABT members often adopt a biker-style appearance. The ABT's primary rivals include the Aryan Circle and the Texas Mafia, with whom they have long-standing feuds. The Aryan Brotherhood of Texas remains a dominant presence in the state's prison system and continues to extend its influence into the streets. La Primera was once one of the largest Hispanic gangs in Houston, Texas, with their main territory centered in the southwest area around Beechnut 90th Street and 7400 Bissonnet. Known for wearing white to distinguish themselves, they stood in direct opposition to their major rivals, the Southwest Cholos. La Primera had strong ties to the Folks Nation and another white-flagged gang, Somos Pocos Pero Locos, further solidifying their alliances in the gang landscape. While it's unclear if La Primera still maintains significant numbers today, their legacy as one of the Southwest Cholos' most notorious rivals has left a lasting impression on Houston's gang history.
According to court documents, 13 of the 24 suspects are alleged members of the Aryan Circle, a violent race-based organization started within the Texas prison system in the mid-'80s. In recent years, its influence has expanded outside prison walls into rural and suburban areas in numerous states. Only one of the 24 suspects remains on the loose.
Another story right now. 24 people reportedly part of an Aryan Circle gang behind bars this morning, thanks in part to the Smith County Sheriff's Department, including racketeering, conspiracy, violent crimes, drug conspiracy, and firearms trafficking.
The Aryan Circle is a white supremacist neo-Nazi prison gang that originated within the Texas Department of Corrections in 1985. The gang was founded by Mark Cowboy Gaspard, and its name was inspired by the Matarazzi Circle, a book by Robert Ludlum about a secretive group of assassins. Members of the Aryan Circle often refer to the gang as the Diamond, and their primary color is blue. The gang's main insignia features a diamond-shaped patch containing a Nazi swastika, with a circle in the center that typically displays ANG. Outside of prison, AC members frequently adopt a motorcycle or biker-inspired style, often wearing vests or cuts adorned with AC patches. They have grown into one of the largest white supremacist gangs in the United States and are the second largest white gang in Texas, following the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. The Aryan Circle's influence extends beyond Texas, with active chapters in Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Indiana, and federal prisons under the USP system. The gang has numerous rivals, including the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, the Universal Aryan Brotherhood, 33 Irish Mob Gang, various biker gangs, and certain Black and Hispanic gangs. Despite these conflicts, the Aryan Circle remains a formidable force in the white supremacist gang hierarchy.
More about the local ties to the so-called Southwest Cholos criminal organization. 23 of them have been indicted.
Federal prosecutors say the Southwest Cholos used the valley as a midpoint for a 1,700-mile sex trafficking ring, ranging from Cancun to Houston. They say the group promised restaurant jobs to women who lived outside the United States. The indictment says the women were smuggled across the border, ending up in stash houses in the valley.
The Southwest Cholos are one of the few remaining homegrown gangs in Houston, Texas, with a legacy that dates back to the 1980s. The gang was formed by 5 founding members as an offshoot of a group known as the Black Angels. Over time, they added the 13 to their name to distinguish themselves from other gangs. Throughout their history, the Southwest Cholos have engaged in intense rivalries with numerous gangs, including MS-13, the Latin Kings, and Mixed Mafia. However, their most significant conflicts have been with Folk Nation-affiliated gangs. The Cholos went to war with Black Disciples, Gangster Disciples, Crips, and La Primera, holding their own in these long-standing feuds. Known for their violent reputation, many Cholos were involved in violent altercations and were instrumental in driving rival gangs out of Alief and other parts of Southwest Houston. Today, the Southwest Cholos remain a dominant force in Southwest Houston, maintaining control over much of the area and continuing to push a hard line against their enemies. Despite decades of conflict, they have managed to preserve their presence and influence in the Houston gang landscape. Juntos Corridos Asesinos is a red rag Serrano gang that originated in Houston, Texas, primarily based in the Spring Branch area. Their territory centered around Hollister and Pittner, where they were active throughout the 1990s. During their peak, JQA was heavily involved in violent rivalries, particularly with other local groups like the Spring Branch Soldiers. Over time, the gang faced significant setbacks as many of its members were deported, incarcerated, or killed, leading to a decline in their presence. Today, most former members have left the street life behind to focus on their families, although there may still be a few individuals who remain active. Despite their diminished presence, JQ's history remains a part of Spring Branch's gang landscape. The Black Disciples were among the first Chicago-based gangs to establish a significant presence in Houston. Arriving in 1989, they quickly grew into one of the city's largest black gangs. Concentrated in areas such as Spice Lane, Briar Forest, and Beechnut, the BDs became a dominant force in Houston's gang scene. Over the years, they engaged in conflicts with various groups, with one of their most notable rivalries being against the Southwest Cholos. This feud was particularly intense and contributed to the BD's reputation for holding their ground. Today, the Black Disciples have seen a decline in activity, with many members stepping away from gang life, resulting in a loss of territory. However, they remain present in the city and maintain a respectable reputation within Houston's gang landscape. Bad Company is a homegrown Latin folk gang that originated in San Antonio, Texas. Before adopting the name Bad Company, they were known as Vario Ghost Town, an old-school neighborhood gang infamous in the 1950s and 1960s for stabbings and other violent crimes. As they evolved, the group aligned with the Folk Nation, adopting the rakes as a key symbol of their affiliation. This shift brought them into direct conflict with rival gangs like the Latin Kings, Big Time Kings, and Bloods. To counter these threats, BC joined the Blue Circle Alliance, uniting with other folk and Crip gangs. However, as the Blue Circle Alliance faded over time, Bad Company found themselves clashing with former allies, including Almighty Ambrose and other folk-affiliated groups. Despite these changes, Bad Company's legacy remains rooted in San Antonio's gang history as a formidable and adaptable force.
The dots today between several East Side shootings. It happened earlier at a detention hearing in federal court for several men accused of dealing crack cocaine as part of an East Side gang. As prosecutors tried to keep the men behind bars, Garrett Berger tells us they laid out part of the violent feud the group supposedly had with another gang.
Well, Myra, federal authorities said this was mostly a battle over turf between two factions of the so-called East Terrace gangsters. It's a rivalry that involved several shootings. The FBI agent also linked another shooting, a gun battle at the Palms apartment complex in October that injured 2 children, as a retaliation shooting by the Skinny Block crew. But none of the 10 men indicted last week have been charged with that federally, nor have San Antonio police made any arrests in that case.
That's right. All 8 members of the Crips East Terrace Gangsters, also known as the Skinny Block crew, sat side by side as they got charges read against them filed by the U.S. government. They were rounded up early this morning by the FBI and SAPD in an operation that's targeting violence and crime on the east side. Among the 8 arrested was the gang's 40-year-old ringleader, Alvin Clark. The feds say he led a gang that's been selling for nearly 2 years.
The East Terrace Gangsters are a homegrown Crip set from San Antonio, Texas, with roots dating back to the 1980s. While it's unclear if they initially began as a Crip-affiliated group, they have long been recognized as part of the Crip movement. ETG members are known for rocking gray flags and maintaining alliances with other Crip sets, such as the 357 Crips and Altadena Block Crips. Their primary rivals include various blood sets, such as the Bloodstone Villains, Wheatley Courts, and UNLV. Over the years, they have also clashed with Hispanic gangs on the west side, including the Latin Kings and the Crusaders of Converse, a Hispanic folk gang. Despite the number of enemies they've faced, ETG remains one of the largest and most prominent gangs on San Antonio's east side, holding their ground and maintaining influence for decades. The Insane Chicano Gangsters are a medium-sized gang that originated in South San Antonio, Texas. Known for their brown pride roots, they are easily identified by their use of brown flags. Like many Chicano gangs in Texas, ICG members align with both the ICG identity and Tango Blast. While the Insane Chicano Gangsters consider themselves Everybody K, their primary rivalry has been with Chicano Azteca 13, a brown pride Serrano gang. Over time, both ICG and the Aztecas have seen a significant decline in size and influence compared to their early years, but their legacy remains a part of San Antonio's gang culture. The Po' Boys, also known as the Public Outlaw Boys, are a homegrown Hispanic gang based in Alamo, Texas. They are active in the Rio Grande Valley and have a long history of rivalries with other gangs in the region. Their primary enemies include the Tri-City Bombers and Southside Bandidos, but they also have deep animosity toward the Latin Kings and Serrano 13. The RGV is known for its chaotic gang landscape, with numerous groups vying for dominance, and the Po' Boys find themselves right in the middle of this ongoing conflict. While they remain active today, it's unclear whether their numbers have increased or declined in recent years. Regardless, the Po' Boys continue to be a part of the dynamic gang scene in the Rio Grande Valley. Seat Viejo is a homegrown Mexican gang primarily based in Laredo, Texas. Known for wearing red and black and using a Mickey Mouse symbol, the gang traces its origins back to the 1970s. It is said that the group was founded by Vietnam War veterans who returned home and began dealing marijuana and stealing cars to sell across the border. Over time, Seat Viejo evolved into enforcers for the Los Zetas cartel, becoming involved in cartel-style deletions and other violent activities. Seat Viejo has had numerous adversaries over the years, including the Latin Kings, Serranos, and Sinaloa Boys, with whom they have a long-standing history of conflict. While they reportedly still feud with these groups today, it's unclear whether Seat Viejo's presence remains as strong as it once was in Laredo and the surrounding areas. Homitos Together is a Hispanic gang based in Houston, Texas, with roots in the Spring Branch area. Known for their black flags and their HT hand sign, the gang quickly gained a reputation after their formation. Over time, Homitos Together found themselves in conflict with groups they were once allied with, including SBS, JQA 13, and SB 13. These rivalries have defined much of their history and contributed to their notoriety. Today, Homitos Together remains active in Spring Branch, continuing to represent their black flag and maintain a presence in the area. CA Mob 13 is a homegrown Serrano gang originating in San Antonio, Texas. Known for wearing brown, They were engaged in fierce rivalries with both Latin folk and Latin kings. While they were smaller in numbers compared to their rivals, they earned a reputation for putting in significant work. Over the years, many members were either incarcerated or deleted, leading to a decline in their presence. It's uncertain whether CMOB 13 still holds any influence in San Antonio today, but their legacy remains a part of the city's gang history. 5-9 Pirus is a spin-off of the 5-9 Bounty Hunters, with its origins tracing back to the Texas Youth Commission. Both 5-9 Bounty Hunters and 5-9 Pirus were formed by Houston youths in TYC facilities to combat Crip sets from Dallas-Fort Worth, San Antonio, Galveston County, Austin, and gangster disciples from Houston and other small Texas towns that had been gang-banging long before Houston embraced the culture. From the start, 5-9 Bounty Hunters adopted the 5-point star as a symbol, fueled by their animosity toward GDs, whom they disliked even more than the Crips. Despite using Piru names, they had little connection to La Piru politics or blood gang origins. As 5-9 Bounty Hunters grew within TYC state schools, 5-9 Piru emerged as a spin-off set. Some members in Houston reference 5-9 in connection to the freeway or the 5900 block in South Park. Despite their unconventional origins, 5-9 Pirus was one of the most active Damu sets in Houston during the early and mid-2000s, particularly in the North Side. Their legacy as a prominent and inclusive gang during that era remains significant in Houston's gang history. Tango Orjon is a Hispanic prison gang based in San Antonio, Texas, with origins dating back to the 1970s, long before the rise of Tango Blast. Initially, it was a hometown prison set formed by individuals from San Anto to provide mutual support both behind bars and upon release. The name Orjon, meaning big ears in Spanish, refers to troublemakers who metaphorically get their ears pulled for their behavior. Originally, the Orjons served as foot soldiers for the Texas Mexican Mafia. However, tensions grew as members became frustrated with taking orders, leading to a split from the AME and sparking a violent conflict in San Antonio and within Texas Department of Corrections prisons. Unlike other structured gangs, the Orjons operate without a constitution, rules, or hierarchy, thriving on what is described as controlled chaos. With an estimated 800 to 1,000 validated members across San Antonio, the Orjons are among the largest Hispanic gangs in the area, second only to the Texas Mexican Mafia. While both the Orjons and Tango Blast are tango gangs, they are independent entities. Many mistakenly believe the Orjons are the San Antonio branch of Tango Blast, but Tango Blast primarily represents individuals from Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin. Inside the prisons, the Orjons sometimes ally with other tango sets like the Valucos, Huesos, and Corpitos to balance the numbers on the yards. Their colors are red and black. Today, the Tango Orjons remain one of the most influential Hispanic gangs in San Antonio, known for their independence and significant presence both in the streets and in the prisons. The gangs of Texas represent a multifaceted network of power, identity, and survival within the state's urban and rural landscapes. From prison systems to street-level conflicts, these groups have not only shaped the criminal underworld, but also influenced the communities they inhabit. While some gangs, like the Tango Orjons and Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, remain highly active, others, such as La Primera and Cid Viejo, have seen their influence wane over the years. Despite these changes, the legacies of these gangs endure, serving as a reminder of the social and economic challenges that give rise to such organizations. Understanding the histories and dynamics of these gangs is crucial for addressing the broader issues of crime and community safety in Texas. By shedding light on their stories, we can better comprehend the impact of these groups and work towards solutions that reduce their grip on the communities they have long influenced.